Hi, so commuting mom thoughts, and I'm talking about Gen X people, right? So born late 70s, raised in the 80s, early 90s. Like we didn't have cell phones back in the day. We didn't have computers like back in the day. There was no Amazon. Like nothing that you know currently exists did back then. So we would go to school, see all our friends, and then you would come home and like do your homework or whatever. And then you would go out with your friends and ride bikes and go around the neighborhood and hang out. So if you needed to find your friends, you'd go to their houses and see where your friends were. You had phones in your house that had cords that stretched like a mile and a half. And people would call your house phone, and, back in the day they had rotary phones, and then they had press dial phones. But we started with rotary phones. And that's hysterical because, kids today have no idea what the hell you're talking about. How about this one? How about cars had lighters in them? They all had lighters in an ashtray. Everyone fucking smoked. Everyone. You could smoke in an airplane. You could smoke in a hospital. You could smoke in a restaurant. Before smoking and non-smoking sections, it was just smoking. Yeah, like my first car had rolling windows. It's just so different now versus then. Like if you didn't like someone and you had a disagreement at school, then you'd go home, like forget it happened, and then like you wouldn't see or hear from that person until the next day you went to school. Now that person can post about that fight that they had in school with you, like a verbal, like, I don't like you, you're talking to my boyfriend, you look ugly, you have a zit on your forehead. And they can talk about you, and literally a million people can see it by the time you get into school the next day. Like, that's wild to me. You don't have to want or wait for anything, right? Like, if you want food and you don't have a car, you DoorDash now. Like these kids that are like 15, 16, whatever, they DoorDash, right? They're like, oh, I want Wendy's, I want McDonald's, like DoorDash. I was working like when I was 12, 13, 14, obviously total child labor back then and paid under the table illegally. But like, I was working at 12 years old. I think my first legal job was probably when I was 16. I don't know. But that's also being raised by immigrants, is like you just work, period. Like when basically your mom gives birth to you and they're like, fill out this job application. Just make sure it's on file so that when you're able to walk, we can get you on some chores around the house. So like these kids nowadays have cell phones. They know where their friends are 24/7 because little apps show them where they are. That used to be called stalking back in the day. Like if you needed to know where your friends were 24/7, you'd have to physically go around the neighborhood and find them. Now you can stalk in private. Just boop, look at the phone. Oh, Brian's at Kale's house, and Jenny's over with Michelle at the food court in the mall, which doesn't even exist anymore, really. We used to go to malls to hang out. Like, our parents would drop us off at a mall, and we would walk around for hours, and $5 would be plenty of money to go with, by the way. You could get, like, a drink and a snack and some gum or candy for $5. And you'd walk around the mall and go into stores that you couldn't buy anything from. And you'd hang out at the mall like for hours. That was like a Saturday afternoon. Our extracurricular activities were like, it was called a bike. And you went outside and you rode around the neighborhood. or walked around the neighborhood. Yeah, we had some sports, but like it wasn't this AAU travel ball $1,000 sign up fee, friggin' pay to get in to see your kid play a game. You already spent $1,000 signing them up for the league. Pay for parking, pay for the uniforms. Like everything is paid for, like on top of registering your kid for these sports. And like your entire weekend's fucked. You're from Saturday morning till Sunday evening, you're screwed. Yeah, like we played softball like for a local town league, and it was like the park was like less than a mile from our house, and we walked there. We walked to the baseball park or the softball park. So, I mean, it's just crazy now, like the amount of stuff that's different between when I was a kid, early 80s, late 80s, and now. It's just completely different. And some of it's awesome. Some of it's awesome. And some of it's horrible. Like, you're just missing, simple things. Kids don't know how to be patient and wait for anything because everything's instant gratification. And as parents, like it's our job to teach our kids that and, balance, their social lives and their sports and their school. And I get it. But yeah, I mean, Gen X, like we didn't have helmets. We didn't wear seatbelts, very rarely. We never had bike helmets, I can tell you that right now. Roller skating, there were no helmets. If you fell down, you fell down. In the car, I mean, there were like seatbelts, but it's not like we use them all the time. Or you packed kids into a car and some sat in the trunk. Like if your mom had a station wagon and you were picking up kids to go somewhere, they sat in the trunk like of the station wagon. Like no seatbelts, no big deal. And their parents would be smoking a cigarette with a lighter, a hot coil, with the windows rolled down so all the smoke blew in your face. Like that was all normal, standard practice. And now if like you looked back, like these crazy people would be like, oh my God, like you were living such a dangerous life. And I thought it was the best life. I thought it was the best childhood, right? Like I wouldn't trade that for the world. It totally prepared me for life. Disappointment was a normal occurrence and like you had to deal with it. Like disappointment. That's a concept. You didn't get what you wanted for Christmas. Okay. Yeah. And like, but you got a lot of good shit, didn't you? My mother always was good for like, a bag of socks or like a new toothbrush in the stocking or like gum. It was classic. Like that was like a staple, right? Like throwing in normal stuff, into your stocking that wasn't really a gift, but it was like just stuff you needed or whatever. So that was awesome. Yeah, it's like we do too much now. I'm guilty of it. I'm totally guilty of it. We do too much for these kids. And we balance it. I mean, like, but yeah, it's crazy. Like, I want to know your stories of growing up in the 80s. Like, what was something that you did or didn't do in the 80s that now would be considered blasphemy? Like, you'd be arrested for it, or you'd get brought up on charges if you were a parent and your kid did it. Like, I have to know this. So comment and let me know.